City rail fans. You've tuned in to the Iron City Roundhouse Report, the podcast where we delve into the fascinating world of locomotives, rolling stock, and the rich history and current state of railroading. I'll be one of your hosts. My name's Brad Williamson, and our other host is my good friend Patrick Moore. And whether you're a seasoned model railroader, a history buff, or just someone who loves the sound of a passing train, you're in the right place. We're proudly affiliated with the Iron City N-Scale Facebook group, but don't let the name fool you. We cover all scales from Z to G and everything in between. We'll be exploring the vibrant railroading scene of western and central Pennsylvania, from the mighty steel giants of the past to the intricate layouts of today. Expect in-depth discussions, interviews with experts, and plenty of stories from the rails. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and enjoy the Roundhouse Report, a podcast of Iron City, by Iron City, and for Iron City. Well, hello, Iron City N-Scalers. Welcome to another episode of the Iron City Roundhouse Report. As always, we appreciate so much that you're taking the time to tune in and listen to what we have to say. And we have a pretty cool show coming up again here for you tonight. And it'll be Pat and I, once again, here manning down the fort at the Iron City Roundhouse podcast studio. So, Pat, here we are with yet another episode. What will this be? Will this be number 12 we're on now, I think?
This is number 12. Yeah, this one's going to be called Otter Valley Beauty, eh?
Yeah.
For our friends up in Canada.
Yeah, a good friend from north of the border, and he'll be here with us this evening, and we're just looking forward to talking to Lorne James from Otter Valley Railroad. So that'll be our guest. But before we get to Lorne, we have the Roundhouse Report portion segment that we have some things we need to talk about. So, Pat, what was it that you were interested in discussing tonight?
So, Brad, our theme is model railroad hobby shops tonight when we're talking to everybody. And I always wanted to make sure that everyone understood that was really the theme of our show. Was you felt like you're in the hobby store and you're just standing there in line, and two guys like you and me are standing there giving advice or talking to somebody about different topics. And I just want everyone to know that, you know, we try to support as much as we can on our page. It's all free. So if you have a mom and pop hobby store out there and you want to post something, you just have to ask us and we'll clear it and get you on there. You know, if you're having a sale, or it's that time of year, right, Brad? It's a hobby season. And,
yeah, for most people it is. Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of opposite for me, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah.
And our friends from Australia are coming out of their winter, so they'll be going in the spring here too. But you know, there's nothing like walking into a hobby store, right? Just the feel of it, looking around, actually touching the merchandise. There's just something about that. And I think our show this evening, you know, we're going to talk a little bit of the nuts and bolts. And we said that was going to always be about our show too, is like dig in a little bit, talk to people, see what the trends are, and see what's going on in the hobby. And I hope we produce that tonight.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be really good because Lorne, I'm sure we'll talk to him about it, but he's got a good head on his shoulders, first of all, and he's you know, built a very successful business. So there are few people today who know the hobby market, I guess you could call it, any better than Lorne does. He understands the market trends. He's just, I'm really glad we were able to have the opportunity for him to come here with us on this episode to share his insights. You know, he knows things that people like you and I don't know, and it's always nice to pick someone's brain like that. So, yeah, it's going to be good stuff with him, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I always like when people say, "How come they don't build this?" or "How come someone doesn't paint this?" And I always like the answer because no one buys it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's it.
Yeah. And so it's funny. It's funny what people are buying. It's going to be good tonight to talk to Lauren to find out, hey, what are people purchasing? What is hot in the hobby right now? You know,
you bet.
And so I guess Brad will jump into the Roundhouse Report.
All right, sounds good to me. Would you like to go first, or do you want me
Sure.
to?
I'll grab
Okay,
I'll grab the first one this morning or this
go ahead.
afternoon. Yeah.
Take the leap. Go for it, my friend.
Hey, we have a new guy on. His name is John Martin, and he is just now setting up his basement for his layout, and we're going to be following him. But he had some good questions about not only showing his layoff off in his basement that he's starting to build, but about hobby shows and hobby events. So I want everyone to know on our page, we always allow people to post any event they're having across the United States, Canada, Australia, wherever. If you have an event, I know Andy over our friend in Iron City, UK, just had an event this weekend over in the UK. You guys can post about that, write about it. And we have an event calendar, an event post on our page that allows you to go and look to see when events are. So it's not overpopulated. It doesn't have a tremendous amount of shows and everything around the country. It does have some regional shows in the Pittsburgh area, but there are shows. I believe there was a show for California and the LA area this summer was posted in our event poster. So take a look at that. It's under the event tab. And it'll show you everything from our internal shows, virtually like our Iron City Showcase. It will have our Let's Talk Trains calendar on there and event, and it will also have the different folks that are posting interest in shows. Or we do have a lot of people that post as a group or a club, and so when they post on here their events, it comes up in that event calendar. So that was John. Good luck with that layout, and look for our event folder and tab when you're looking for an event.
Yeah, I noticed that picture he posted too. I think the one you're referring to is it the one he posted a picture of the room where his layout's going to be?
Yeah, and I think he just started some of his. Looks like he's just got his workbench in there, and he's getting ready to start. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a nice space.
It's always an exciting time. Yeah, it is very nice. A very nice finished room, and we're, as always, looking forward to see what grows out of that. Can't wait to see what he's able to create and hopefully share with us. So thank you for posting that, and we'll look forward to more as you go along there. So, yeah, that was a neat one. The one I wanted to highlight was some guy named Patrick Moore. I don't know if you know him or not, but yeah, Pat, you posted a really nice shot of your tram module, which, we're and when this airs, we're roughly 2.5 days from the show at Altoona, the Altoona N Scale weekend. And that's where this module that Pat posted on the website with the high line, I guess you could call it, the overhead tram line above the street level. And we've never had a module like that on the Iron City N Scale T-Track layout. And this will be the first in what we're hoping are a series of several modules where people create stuff with, to the T-Track standards for the regular tracks. But Pat has an elevated trolley line on his track. Still working on it, he said, but it looks like it's turning out really good. When I saw that picture, it looks like you're looking at one of those high lines or elevated. In Chicago, I guess they call it the L maybe, but a trolley line that they have elevated up above the street level, and you got a nice backdrop back behind it and some nice buses in the foreground. It kind of reminds me of when I went to New York City one time on a bus trip. The buses, they had a place for them to park and drop people off to walk around town that was right underneath some kind of elevated. I don't remember if it was a rail line. It might have just been a highway overpass, but the scene reminded me of that, and it really looks like that scene's coming together well. So nice work on that, Pat. And I do look forward to, I told myself, and nobody should ever believe this when the T-Tracker says it, but I told myself over the summer that I've got to stop building T-Track modules because I'm running out of places to store them. But when I saw your trolley line right then and there, your trolley module, I decided I'm going to have to do that too and build one to connect to this because it is cool. And I do have some trolleys or whatever you call them, streetcars that I bought here and do want to run. So yeah, it was just nice work, and I wanted to give you a shout out for that, Pat.
Oh, I appreciate it. So That I used a modern thought process, and then I went back and kind of aged it a little bit. But right now, if anybody ever goes to Pittsburgh and you get off at the last stop at the Steelers Stadium, that's all elevated, and they have buses parked underneath, and that's where I got that idea from. But like anywhere in any city, they do that. Now, what you didn't see, and what you'll see at the show is there's a commuter stop for the T track main line right in front of it, so it's layered. So I have
That's
a little
awesome.
have a train stop, a little station, little commuter station, then the buses, and then the backdrops. And those backdrops are a guy in Pittsburgh makes those PTF.
Yeah.
Uh, and those actually have working lights, but the lights are so good. I couldn't take a picture. It was blurring everything, but that has
Yeah.
working lights. And that's the first time Brad, with your help and Kevin's help, you guys helped me understand some soldering techniques. I soldered and put a switch in there to turn that on and off.
That's
So,
great stuff. Great stuff. Yeah.
yeah, so I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that place on the T in Pittsburgh there near the Acrisure Stadium, and it's also near the Carnegie Science Center where we're going to be in a few months. But
that's
when
right.
we were out to the Pirates game and saw you in action in your day job, not playing for the Pirates, of course, but we walked right by there, Pat, on the way to the stadium because we stayed in an Airbnb. I don't know, probably 6 blocks or so from where that place you're talking about, where the buses park underneath the elevated T line there. And we walked right by that, and then of course got on the T and rode the rest of the way into to the field where the Pirates game was. I can't think of the name of the Pirates stadium. Sorry.
Oh, PNC Park.
PNC. Yeah, geez, I
Yeah,
knew that.
yeah.
It was just escaping me. But yeah, that was the first Major League Baseball game Missy's ever been to. My wife Missy, and we walked right by that exact area you were just describing there underneath the tee. So it's always neat to have a story to go with a module, and
Right.
we just got a good 10 minutes out of that T track module. So I can't wait to see it this weekend, buddy.
Oh yeah. And then, that's the cornerstone. Hopefully we'll have others, building to connect. And we have some standards that we've made up, Iron City standards, of course, that for the length and the height and everything, and so we'll be sharing that over the weekend and hopefully getting that going.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
the next
love
one
it.
I have is another T track, and it's a secret. And our friend Connor has got something special going. He's not giving away anything, which I love because he did the same thing last year. And Tom does the same thing. He always surprises us at the very end with his competition T track model. But
The thing with Tom is he surprises himself too because he's usually working on the module in the back seat on the way. He usually rides with somebody, and he's finishing up painting or something on his module on the ride out to Altoona. So
yeah, there's nothing like passing normally Mike and Tom with Mike in the back seat at 55 miles an hour gluing something onto his T track model.
that takes real skill. It really does.
Right. Mike's got a steady hand on the steering wheel.
I hope so. Yes.
Yeah. But supposedly Connor is doing a lot with LEDs. And I know Doug did that a couple of years ago with
Yeah.
some LED lighting and everything. But Connor has actually got almost like a shadow box type of situation going to make sure the lighting is protected, I guess, so you can get the best effect of whatever he's working on. So he was also supposed to build me an Iron City clock, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
uh,
Well, I don't know that you're a beggar. I think we should just declare right now, if he ever wants us to mention him again, he's going to have to get on that.
no pressure. Okay, Brad, what else do you have for us tonight?
Okay, my second one is from our buddy Scott Mahalko. I hope I'm saying Scott's name right, who we met for the first time in person, Pat, if you remember, a couple years ago at the Altoona N Scale weekend. Once again, it's coming up here in a couple of days. But I've been hearing reading stories about this new locomotive that the Western Maryland Scenic was bringing out, and he was able to post some pictures of that locomotive. It's number 561, and it's in the red, white, and black Western Maryland scheme. I believe that's the late Western Maryland scheme, if I'm not mistaken. But really nice looking locomotive, and he's got it pictured. It appears in a push-pull operation, I believe, with the 1309. You can't actually see the engine, but I see a big smoke plume, so it's almost got to be the 1309 on the other end. But he's got a picture of that in set 3 pictures he posted of that consist running through. Definitely one of them appears to be in Cumberland. I can't tell if the other one's over in Ridgely or where exactly. It looks like it might be on its way back to where it's based there in Ridgely. But yeah, really cool shots that Scott shared with us, and thank you to Scott for doing that. And that is a good looking locomotive, and that's been added to my list of things that I need to get down there again to see. So
it's on the list.
It is on the list. Yes,
yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, Brad, with that, we will be right back with our show, Otter Valley Beauty A. We'll be right back after this. Hey, and welcome back to the Roundhouse Report. We have a very special guest this evening, and we'll pass it over to Brad, and he'll introduce him.
Yeah, we're very pleased tonight to have Lorne James with us from Otter Valley Railroad. Really cool hobby shop and mail order retailer in Tillsonburg, Ontario. We're in an area that was formerly, I guess, a big, heavy area for producing tobacco, from what I understand. There was a song about it, I guess. But we're pleased to have Lorne here. He's also a kind of a manufacturer. He's got his own line of rolling stock, and so we'll probably get into talking about that. But we're very happy to have him here, and welcome, Lorne, to the Roundhouse Report. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You bet. Hey, thanks for being here.
Hey, Lorne, really happy to finally get to talk to you. I've heard you on different shows and everything, and like to hear your ideas about the hobby and everything. So we'll jump into some questions tonight, as long as Brad told me I'm always limited to the questions. So we'll jump right into it. Now, the first thing we wanted to ask you, Lorne, is how is the hobby business? How are you doing, and how's everything going up there in Canada?
So the hobby business has seen many challenges and changes over the last. We've been doing this for 22 years, so I've seen really the boot of online shopping in the mid 2000s to late 00s of traditional brick and mortar being phased out to bigger mail order shops. We originally started as a mail order and train show business, and then we built a warehouse and then added an online catalog, and then just grew from that essence. You look at what transpired pre-pandemic, it was still predominantly done by big mail order houses in the States, in Canada, and Europe. And then the pandemic almost accelerated that. So it pushed a lot of people to online shopping. In person wasn't really happening. So more and more people got on to, your big mail order houses like OBR, Midwest, Lombard, and you'd see traditional shops either close their doors or reduce their footprint, and then try to adapt technology later in the game, like in-store pickup. I was one of the first retailers in the entire industry in 2009 that offered in-store or train show pickup with your online order already prepaid. Nothing special about that. It's just, coding we created on our website. A lot of businesses had to adopt late. And because you came late to the dance, sometimes it's the ability to attract customers to your new website, or, have questions about how do you perform for turnaround. I mean, a lot of retail, and this applies not just to model trains, but to a lot of retail, they truly expect the Amazon feeling, as in, I placed the order that day, it's shipped that day or next day, and it's on my doorstep within 2 to 3 days minimum.
Right.
So it really changes how the retail shop. your traditional shops are still doing, their events on Saturday or modeling sessions on Saturday or having coffee shop or trying to get a manufacturer or a small 3D or local clubs in, to speak to new modelers and up and comers. So from that point of view, the dynamics have changed. Now for Canada, Model Trains has consistently been strong in Canada. We're one of the top shops in the country and one of the top shops in the world. So our customer base is diverse throughout all provinces and territories, as well as we do a lot of business in Europe, and we still do a lot of business in the United States, even with the challenges this year with trade and counter tariffs and tariffs. We still have a fair large American customer base following. So things have changed, but we've also had to focus on attracting customers both inside our borders in Canada as well as attracting more European customers, just so that way we have a diversified customer base.
And Lorne, just a quick follow-up on that. You mentioned you've been in business now for, was it 22 years, did you say?
23 years.
23 years. And I'm trying to remember, we've chatted before, but weren't your parents involved with the store at one point too? Or I can't remember exactly. Can you give us a little bit of that backstory, please?
So we started the business actually in May of 23. So this is our 22nd year. My parents and I were the original three partners. At the time, I was a minor, so my parents had to sign the business license and all that jazz, and credit applications and stuff like that. And then later on, we continued the business. Unfortunately, my mom had passed in May of 17. My dad retired in October of 19. And then I took over as the main shareholder and the main owner of the company in October of 19. So we did start as a family, a three-way partnership, and then we're down to just myself. But I run it today with my wife and my daughter Isabel.
That's very cool.
That's neat.
And I know you have, I know you have a pretty strong background in accounting, or can you just give us that aspect of it too?
So I have an undergrad in business. I have a partial master's in business administration, and I also have my CPA.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Lorne comes to play, and that's, I mean, it does take some knowledge to have a hobby shop like he runs. If you've never had the chance to see it up there in Tilsonburg, I think it was last summer. I actually was lucky enough to make the journey up there and see it in person. It is a fantastic store, and so it's cool to have you here, Lorne.
Thanks, little Brad.
You're welcome, big Lorne.
So, Lorne, before the show, you and I discussed some topics, and we also talked about a previous show that we had called the Young Guns. And something that we were talking about is the hobby's timeline right now for model railroading. And we were debating as the baby boomers get older, and now you have Gen X. When they were kids, the 70s and 80s were big in the railroad world. And that's a lot of, we're starting to hear about that generation, Gen X, really getting into the hobby and starting to model the 70s and 80s or early 90s. But we were really surprised that the younger folks are asking for steam, and they're almost to a person that we talked to, the four guys that were on the show, all had steam, and we're talking about steam. So I was just wondering if tonight we could talk a little bit about what you're seeing trend-wise in the hobby, and that can go for all scales, but maybe pinpoint in scale a little bit, and what you think the timeline is going to be with the hobby here in the future.
So right now you have your traditional guys who like to model what they saw as a kid. I think you're always going to have that demographic, and as people age out, leave the hobby, retire, or pass away, those demographics go. I think the prominence of some of the big steam programs like the Big Boy, the Challenger, up here in Canada, 2816, the CP steamer, has brought steam back to relevant to mainstream and to a lot of modelers. I've seen different trends throughout the years. There is a select group of young guys that have an obsession with steam or early diesel because of the uniqueness of all the fallen flags.
Right.
You still have guys that are in that 55 to 80 range that are doing pre-Conrail, the pre-fallen flag to, just before the advent of ditch lights and FRA striping. So there's that demographic. And then the most extreme demographic is a lot of guys '06 to present, ditch lights, FRA striping, aggressively super modern.
Okay.
So I think there's like three different demographics. The boomer demographic that is pre-ditch and has some of the fallen flags that have really beautiful paint schemes. There's a lot of beautiful paint schemes, like take the Lee Valley. It's a very beautiful paint scheme with the black, white, and red.
Right.
A lot of paint schemes were absorbed in different mergers or consolidations or bankruptcies, and a lot of them ended up with plain Jane paint schemes.
Right.
So I think the uniqueness there, I think a lot of modelers will be modeling a lot of falling flags going forward. I mean, today was the big announcement of Union Pacific and Norfolk and Southern starting their $85 billion merger. That would mean potentially two more fallen flags in a new consolidated entity, and those were consolidation of railroads of 10 to 15 entities in each of those railroads.
Right.
And a lot of them had iconic paint schemes. Southern Pacific with the feather, Norfolk and Western, and Norfolk and Southern with the beautiful tuxedo paint scheme, and a lot of the other roads, Chicago Northwestern with their beautiful employee-owned paint scheme models. So I think from that demographic is changing. The end scale, truly, I believe it's based on regionalized interest, club interest, and locality interest. I know in Canada, there's extreme interest on Ontario Northland and Go Transit. I know when I go to Springfield, there's a lot of end scalers that are northeastern based. Well, obviously being a northeastern based show, but obviously you see with some of the clubs in the Midwest, big trains, modern, big passenger, and a lot of variety of power and a lot of variety of cars. So heavy manifests, I think, that was one of the reasons why we first brought out our N scale car, which was the trash and scrap car, because they are monster manifest trains.
Okay.
And I have to say, I'm fortunate enough to own like 9 of them, and they are just absolutely beautiful cars. They run beautifully. They look fantastic. So well done on that one, Lorne.
And you can see up to 200 cars in one train of that car.
Right.
In a variety of paint schemes, loaded, not loaded, with a little bit of mixed manifest throughout the Northeast and the Midwest. So that was one of the reasons why we first ever did that car in HO and N, because of how large the pools were and also how large the fleets are for each of the operators and the lease fleet operators.
Yeah, I even have one of Lorne's Gons in HO scale, believe it or not. So yeah, they are just, I'm not even exaggerating. They're fantastic cars.
So Lorne, what do you think the manufacturers, like, how do they pinpoint? I guess if it sells, they make it, but how do they know, like, what to go to next, or do they do research, or do they go out to the hobbyists and do surveys, or how do they know, like how do they know that the Lehigh Valley is not going to have another big run or Wabash, or they're going to keep modern? I guess it's just by purchasing.
So your traditional large players generally use surveys like SurveyMonkey, and they'll put it on their Facebook or on their mailing list. A lot of them will also have reflection points of how much they've produced a certain paint schemes in past production runs. Okay. So they have an idea of how much the second run potentially could sell, or if they did new tooling, how well we performed on, let's say Morriston and Kunston paint schemes, for instance. That's an oddball. Right. Or something like Bowser, for instance. He knows how many Delaware Lackawanna units potentially can sell based on how much he sold of one road number. Well, if I sold 150, there's probably between, 120, 150 DL modelers. My upper reach is 150. I'll probably shoot to make a production run on 120. I'll solicit pre-orders based on that. And if I land within that tolerance, then I know where my production lands. Some of the larger class ones, your UPs, your BNSFs, your Santa Fe's, your NS, your CSX, those are the ones that carry manufacturers through larger volumes. In Canada, for instance, CN and CP are, you know, heavy volume whenever a car is announced, whether it's us, Rapido, Aurora, Prairie Shadows, PWRS, or some of the American companies. Via, for instance, I know exactly how much, whenever a Via item's announced, I know how much I should be able to sell in the shop
Right.
within about 10% because I've got
Okay.
20 years of sales data in my head and a
Right.
touch and feel of which customers are still around, what people are asking. A lot of the other ones will also use email accounts and they'll have customers send their requests, suggestions to certain emails, new product inquiries at, or feedback, or this or that. So a lot of them will use all that focus group and that first rate information. Yeah, they'll take information they get at train shows or people coming up making suggestions and write it down in their scrib notes. And the other thing too is a lot of these companies, I mean, OVR is a very small company, so we make stuff based on what we know internally inside the border or, stuff that's fed to us from industry or other sources. A lot of these other companies have modelers on their payroll and
Oh,
they
okay.
help with some of the internal research as well, or some of their favorites or their connections with clubs, associations, historical associations, railroad companies, building companies, and kind
Yeah.
of, also can gauge it by that too.
So, Lauren,
It's
I'm assuming
fascinating.
when you went to build your cars, you saw a void and you also saw potential with all the trains that have been coming out of the Northeast or into Canada with those, like you said, those long manifests. And if you're doing your research and you realize no one's making that, or that's something that could be brought to the market, I guess that was something you were thinking about too.
So at that time we were discussing, and I would say just at the start of the pandemic, my friend Andrew and I, who's my tooling partner, we were discussing like, okay, we'd love to make cars as an extension of the company. What do you think our first option was? So the first thing him and I had was, well, we got to make the gondola. It's made in Hamilton, just down the road from us. We've got friends who are in sales. We have friends who are in engineering. We have friends on the manufacturing floor. We could probably work some of our contacts and start really, pulling together build lists and schematics and stuff like that. And that's really what it come from. And then from there, I had another friend that I went to the university with, and I come to find out through another friend, he was one of the financial controllers. So one day I had lunch with him, and I said, "Hey, I'm thinking about making some trains, and you're building them." And he's like, "Well, do you want to come back? You want to come back to the shop after lunch?" And I'm like, "Yes, please."
So are your cars manufactured there in Ontario then, Lauren?
The real ones are manufactured in Hamilton, Ontario.
Oh, the real ones. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
did you? So when you and again, if this is stuff that you can't share, we understand. But when where are the models? Your model, are they manufactured in China like so
No, they're in
many, or
China. They're in
are
China.
they? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought they were. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah. But we do all the design, all the art, and a good chunk of everything here in province between myself and two other guys. And then we send it overseas. They work on it. We get some initial drawings back from them, some initial early tooling samples, review them, test them,
Hmm.
make some changes, and then from there we go on to, okay, are we A, got enough pre-orders, and B, are we tooling this? And then establishing kind of a production timeline and delivery timeline.
Okay. And I can remember when I think we were at Springfield. You and I were talking about when you were just getting ready to bring out your N scale line, and you said I can remember you saying, if you want me to do this again, you better get some pre-orders in. How so? Has the N scale, your foray into N scale, gone fairly well for you? Would you say, or
It's hot and cold.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
N scale's a hard scale.
Yeah.
And it's one of those scales where you got to make a commitment. Once you make the commitment, you have to be prepared for the consequences that you might not sell everything or you're going to sell more than that.
Hmm.
In my situation, I have sold where I wanted to. I was hoping for better results. A lot of this is a crapshoot. So if you plan something 3 years in about, you have no idea A, how the economy will be, B, how discretionary spending will be, geopolitical tension, trade tension.
Sure.
And also you're also competing with other modelers who could be buying from other companies that have similar or competitive items.
Right.
So it's every project is a gamble to a point because nothing's guaranteed to be sold until you have everything out the door.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And and along those same lines, what if you could? I'm sure you have a idea. Like, what is of your sales volume? What percentage is, like, say, HO and N and other scales? Like, I'm sure HO is your probably largest, but how does that break down for you?
I'm about an 85-15 guy.
Okay. And
85 HO and 15 N, and then about a tenth of a 10% other.
Okay. Okay. I figured it was probably something along those lines, but yeah.
Yep.
And you mentioned that the big Canadian road, are they as far as road names, would you say they're your two biggest sellers for the, like, class 1 railroads, the two Canadians?
They're my bread and butter. They pay my bills. CN and CP, they are the main two roads in Canada along with VIA. I do have a love of the Canadian short lines. I've done many, many custom runs in the past with other manufacturers of Canadian runs, whether it was Cape Breton and Central Nova Scotia, Ontario Southland, Trillium, ONR, special VIA ones that are in service faded. I've even done the local bus company's fishbowl. So, I mean, I'm not afraid of doing stuff from that point of view. You have to be careful at how many pieces you take because, again, going back to that example with Bowser with the Delaware Lackawanna, there's only so many guys that want DL.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sell enough pieces to get the minimum, or the minimum for the paint samples, or minimum for the paint mass, or the minimum that the manufacturer or the overseas builder will accept?
Gotcha.
Hey, Lorne, something that we are pleasantly surprised here on our podcast is we have a very strong Australian audience. Do you go to Australia at all? Do you ship to Australia, or have you done much with that so far?
We ship to Australia about 4 times a week. My
okay.
wife and my daughter and I are planning on going to Australia for 2 weeks in March coming up.
Oh, wow. Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great time. I hit that on the nail on the head there. So we realized that is a huge market, and there's a lot of folks over there model railroading. What are they looking for? Just everything, or are there certain brands that they're looking for?
So I have about 80 to 90 Australian customers. Most of them are Canadian with some hard to find US vintages that, if I might have, that they'll pick up, but a lot of it is Canadian vintage.
Okay. So they're modeling North America and Australia, or they're just picking that up as an extra. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. A lot of them will pick up so much gear for each of that railroad.
Okay.
So for instance, a guy might have 60 pieces of BC rail.
Okay. So the other question,
or they might do like, I like BNSF or UP, and they'll pick up theme stuff. A lot of, from what I understand in Australia, a lot of them are into clubs, and they'll just have the run kind of their gear based on what they feel.
Okay. So Lorne, another question that we had this evening was, what are you looking forward to in future products? What would you like to see come to market as you're going through, like 26 and 27? What's something you would like to see come to the market here soon?
I mean, as a modeler, I'm always interested in kind of the freakier stuff. I think there's been tons of coal cars made, tons of box cars made, tons of hoppers. I think when you start looking at some of the cool variety of cars that you can make, whether it, we did a pipe car. we did a CN pipe car. There was only 150 in the entire CN roster, and all it did was haul oil sands, drill pipe, and geological pipe for locations. But it was one of the most wildly popular cars in 2023 and 2024, both from a sales point of view and from a customer engagement point of view. Our current cars that we're offering, the 6 and the 4 and the 8 hatch NSC tank hoppers, they've been wildly popular in Canada and a good part of US customers. Our own stuff we're most excited about, obviously the caboose. We have a caboose that'll be coming out this fall, the CN Point St. Charles transfer caboose. I mean, I'm delighted to have that. One of the most favorite models I saw when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Models that haven't been announced that I'd love to see. Obviously, being Canadian, a CN sweep, which is a combination SW1200S and a GP9. The other one is the rebuilt gen sets, also known as the Pope Mobile. It was a big giant switcher that CFX Sit Financial Group had on lease to a lot of industrial roads and short lines. Big giant windows, and it had 4 different genset motors in it. I mean,
wow.
That's pretty cool. Other things that would be, really cool to see in the marketplace would be obviously stuff that has unique loads, whether it's turbine blades or fuselages. I always love looking at cars that have depressed loads, whether it's a big transformer or a reactor or a boiler. Yeah, so uniqueness.
Yeah.
So the transfer cabooses you're bringing out, is that HO only, or are you going to do that?
That's HO. So I
Okay.
have been working on the costing and tooling options in the end. The factory hasn't presented me the costing numbers yet to see if I could digest it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the production numbers will not be the same as HO.
Right.
But I am open to doing that.
Awesome.
So, Brad, as we wrap up here, any final thoughts with Lorne before we ask him about his different ways that we can get a hold of him and order?
Well, I was just curious, Lorne, is there anything else that you would like our viewers to hear about as far as your any part of your business, or is there something that you wanted to make known that we didn't cover? So this is your chance to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I'll just give my normal sales pitch. So Otter Valley Railroad, we're a mom and pop traditional hobby shop, but we are considered Canada's biggest mom and pop model train shop. We call ourselves the candy shop of Canada for model trains. I love going to trade shows. A lot of you guys have met me or talked to me with me at Springfield. I usually have a big booth there. I know little Brad will tell you. Usually, I bring the load. I really do.
Oh yeah,
And,
yes, he definitely does.
So I mean that's really cool. The fact that my daughter is now involved in the company. Yes, she's 8, but she's in the shop, and that's cool that third generation of the family is actively involved. That was one big stipulation my mom had, that the business would continue on post my parents to my children and my sister's children. So my sister has 2 boys, and I hope to hand the reins to them, to my daughter Isabella and my nephews down the road, so they can continue on the generation of OVR. But I also carry other stuff that a lot of people don't realize. So I'm now the official outlet for Martin Wahlberg in Canada and North America too.
Oh,
now,
awesome.
I have to ashamedly admit I'm not familiar. What is that, Lorne?
Martin Wahlberg Scenery Products.
Oh, okay. And is that a Canadian company, or are they
Netherlands? They're from the Netherlands.
Oh, no kidding. That's cool.
So I've been adding a lot of European companies over the last 6 months with everything that's transpired.
Mm-hmm.
I've really diversified my supply lines to give mobility and freedom to customers to choose who they want to purchase from and such. And the other big thing is I'm always looking to do special Canadian stuff. So, even though we do have our OVR line, I still do special runs with Rapido. We have some GE 44 tonners coming out in the fall, and Canadian National #1, which was the first tonner ever delivered to CN. And then we're also doing the local short line, Port Stanley and Terminal Railroad, and they operate a tourist railroad, and we're doing their tenor, which its name is Winnie. So
Oh, wow.
my
That's
my
awesome.
philosophy has always been, if I see it, I like it, I want to make it, or at least bring it out in a model.
Right, right.
Makes sense, because if you like it, I'm sure there's other people who do as well. So yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty cool.
Yep. And I'm an active HO modeler. I haven't been aggressively modeling for a few years now, but I'm building a 40 by 32 foot layout in my basement. It's based on Welland to Buffalo, Ontario, and I modeled 2004 to 2016, just before the CP and KCS merger. And I focus mostly on automotive, agriculture, wood, and commodity transportation between the Southern Ontario and Western New York Gateway at Buffalo.
Oh,
And a
wow.
couple of my focal scenes, I'm doing the town of Fort Erie. I'm doing the International Bridge over Fort Erie to Buffalo. I've done the Welland Canal. I'm doing the Port Colborne Harbor. And I just recently acquired myself a Bearco Marine boat, which is the Canadian Steam Lines, and it's an 8 foot by 3 foot lake boat.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow, that is cool.
Yeah, I was going to
Very
say,
cool.
in N scale, that's monstrous. People,
It's the size of a sofa.
yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say,
Wow.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So Lauren, if I wanted to order something, what website do I go to? Can you give us your website and
Yep.
your different locations? Yep.
So you can order online at www.ovrtrains.com. You can also send us an email at sales@ovrtrains.com, or you can call us toll free in North America at 1-877-885-7245, or you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/ovrtrains, or you can follow us and watch our videos on YouTube at youtube.com/ovrtrains, or you can find me on Facebook at Lorne James and friend me, and we can talk trains.
Awesome. Awesome.
Fantastic stuff.
So Brad and I would really like to thank you for coming on this evening, and we really appreciate it. It's eye-opening, I tell you, when you start talking to someone that's actually into the business as much as you are, Lauren, the trends and like you said, the almost the riverboat gambler on some of this stuff and how it goes and how you mathematically figure it out. It's a tough game, but I'm glad you're in it because it sounds like your success is a modeler's success. And so we really appreciate you being on tonight.
Thanks
Yeah,
for having me, guys.
yeah, likewise. It was always great catching up with you, Lauren. I don't think we've met face to face since Springfield, I believe, and that's been a while now. So it's good to hear from you, and I would echo what Pat said. Thanks so much for being with us, and definitely best wishes to you moving forward with your family owned business that's been as such family owned right from the beginning. So it's a neat story, and it's a really cool place to visit if you're ever in the Tillsonburg, Ontario area. But as Lauren mentioned, he can also be reached online. So thank you so much, and it was great having you here with us.
And just for context for everybody, we're about an hour and 45 from Toronto and about an hour and 50 from Niagara Falls. So if you ever are in Toronto or you're going to the Falls, come and see us.
Excellent. Okay, everybody, we'll be right back after this short break. Thank you. Hey, and welcome back. Brad, what a great show this evening. Lauren was a great guest. I learned a lot about the model railroad business tonight, which is fascinating to me. And I think our listeners will have an appreciation of a little bit of the inside baseball there this evening.
Yeah, he's definitely a good source of knowledge about how to run a business and how to network in the model railroading hobby to make the connections with suppliers and everything else. He truly has. I mean, he's got connections all over the world as far as I know. And the cool thing is he has a great family owned brick and mortar business. If you ever get a chance to travel up there north of the border to Tillsonburg, Ontario. It's a really, really cool train store to go to, and Lorne will treat you right when you're there, and it's worth a visit for sure if you can make it up
Absolutely.
there even just one time. It's a really great place to go. But as we discussed, he's not just a retailer; he's also a manufacturer. He has his
That's
own
right.
line of both HO and N scale rolling stock. So he's got even more perspective on the manufacturing side, not just the selling side, but the manufacturing side. So as it's always great to have somebody like Lorne who's been through the thick and thin of it with his business and started it with his family, and it's been a family run and family owned for its entire existence. And just he's obviously learned a lot and knows a lot about how to run a successful business in the hobby that we know and love. So it was great to have Lorne here, and I just want to say thanks again, Lorne, buddy, Big Lorne. He calls me Little Brad. I call him Big Lorne, and it was great to talk to him. Hope you
So,
enjoyed it as much as I did, Pat.
oh, I did. So, Brad, as we close up here, we want to tell everybody just a couple of days away from our big Super Bowl, and that's the Altoona in-scale weekend. We hope to see you out there. Do not feel like you can't come up and talk to us, man. We can't wait to talk to you, run trains with you, stand around the layout. We're going to go live at 2 p.m. Eastern on the 20th, and we'll hope to see everybody there. Also, I wanted to mention, thank you, Richard Shuri, because of you, Brad will pay the fines of that diesel locomotive pushing the end of the passenger car with the pizza party. So all the funds are going to be going towards the pizza party.
I'll get the pizza party. You get the beer. How's that?
Yeah.
You're going to lose on that because after that remark, I'm going to have a keg to myself. No, that was funny.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, that's a segue. I did talk to our good buddy Todd Treaster about that. And according to what I was able to read and what Todd told me, it is not against FRA regulations to do that. It's up to the individual railroad as to whether they want to allow that to happen. So
spoiled again.
but thanks as always to the Iron City historian for keeping us on the straight and narrow. We appreciate
That's
that.
right.
Also, just want to speaking of Todd, want to give a quick shout out to him once again. If you're in the area for the Altoona N-Scale weekend, Todd's open house runs in conjunction with that up in Burnham, PA. If you are at the show and decide you want to pay Todd a visit, he's there basically all day from Friday and Saturday, both days. I believe he's going to be up and running. If you don't know where he is, it's Burnham, Pennsylvania. Stop by the show and see us at the layout, and we can give you directions to get up to Todd's open house. You won't regret seeing his fine layout. So just wanted to give him another shout out.
Hey, Brad, if everyone's listening today, they found our podcast, but let's make sure everyone understands where they can get our podcast. And that's Apple, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Notes, Podchaser, and Boomplay. So wherever you get your podcast, we're there. And these are just some of the ones that we make sure are published weekly. So we want to make sure you're listening to us. The other thing is, if you want to talk to us, you can email us or direct message us on Iron City In-Scale page. You can leave a note there or just post on the page. And we have a lot of new hobbyists, Brad, lately. We see a lot of new layouts being put up this fall. And I'm looking forward to seeing people with their projects.
Yeah, so that's always good to see with new people coming into the hobby.
Absolutely.
Love that. So, yep, absolutely, yep.
So, Brad, with that, I'll give you the final note of the night, and we'll say good night.
Yeah, final word. A big thanks to Lorne James for sharing his know-how and his just business acumen with us. And giving us a little bit of an insight. I'm sure that we got the tip of the iceberg, but that's more than a lot of us ever get to even hear about. So thank you to Lorne for coming on here to share that with us. And just as importantly, thank you once again for listening. We appreciate so much anybody who's willing to take the time to listen to us clown around here and have a good time. And we're glad for all the new listeners that we've picked up, and we just thank you so much for your support. And we just hope to be able to continue doing this to bring more of the Iron City Roundhouse Report to you. So with that said, we will sign off now. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Iron City Roundhouse Report. All right, rail fans, that's all the steam we've got for this edition of the Iron City Roundhouse Report. Until next time, keep those gauges green, your couplers connected, and may your layouts always run smoothly. Happy railroading.